Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Patrick with another episode of RevTalks. Today we are here with Matt. How's it going, Matt?
I'm good, Patrick. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Amazing. Thanks for coming on. Obviously, we're here interviewing founders, CEOs, people in the B2B space. So Matt, tell me a little bit about your company, what you guys do, and a little bit of an overview.
Yeah, CEO of PerfectHire. We are a talent management platform that is taking the recruiter's role, basically deconstructing it, and we're building a software that will help optimize and reinvest the recruiter's time into finding better talent, having them get more time back in the day from the mundane tasks of scheduling and emails, and then just all around having a company have a hyper-focused into their own talent as well too. So from forecasting to retaining, and then finding the best people with tailored questions for each individual.
Nice. And how long have you been doing this specific company for?
Yeah, so we founded back in October of 23,
Nice.
but we officially launched our product this year, October of 25.
Nice. And right now, where are you guys kind of at in say ballpark of kind of annual revenue, things like that, some of the numbers?
Yeah, so right now we are projected to end the year at 550K ARR. We're roughly around 15K MMR right now.
Wow, that's great. And I assume these are, you said ARR, so these are recurring customers because you guys are on I took a look at the website, you guys are on a SaaS plan, so that
Correct.
you guys charge per month, per user, and things like that.
Yeah, so we actually just charge by company, so that way it's not a user count issue, but we just charge by company by year.
Nice. I love it. And other than sort of those pricing plans, I noticed you guys have, obviously it's more low ticket, right? And
Yep.
it's per user. And I saw you guys have an enterprise plan as well. And I always ask SaaS companies how many companies they have on the enterprise plan, and if that's something that they are even remotely focused on, because you sign a couple of enterprise or even, not necessarily enterprise, but upmarket, and that's a ton of recurring revenue for a long period of time. Do you guys have much of those customers?
So ironically, I'd say out of our pipeline right now, I'd say a good quarter of them have been inbound enterprise clients. So we do already have one enterprise client already signed up and ready to go.
Nice.
We've got about 3 to 5 others that we're currently actively working through.
Nice. I love it. And when you say inbound, what channel was that, and what was kind of how do they approach you? What was sort of that entire?
Yeah, it was actually straight up from a trade show, which was awesome. So we went down to Nashville last year to RecFest, and we got a good amount of leads that were able to drive us forward. All help and all kudos to my head of revenue, who really established these connections prior, so that way we could put a name to the face while we were actually there. So it was a good dual effort to get everybody to the booth and be able to have these conversations later down the road.
Nice. And where are you guys based out of?
So we are a complete remote first company. So we've got people in Nebraska, Chicago, San Diego, LA, DC, Charleston. So yeah, we're all over the place.
Sweet. I love it. And where are you specifically based out of, Matt?
I'm right out of dead center in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Nebraska. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. So I know you guys mentioned some inbound. In terms of outbound, are you guys doing any sort of outbound campaigns, paid ads, cold email, LinkedIn? Do you guys have a stack for that? Are you guys looking at exploring? Are you guys currently doing? What's kind of the situation?
Yeah, so we currently right now are running 2 motions. We're doing a content push right now with an agency that is very familiar into the recruiting space. And then we also just sunsetted our subscription with Apollo, actually.
Nice.
So we are now doing a hyper motion with a structured go-to-market engineer. And they're running basically from jungler to clay to limb list. And so it's a whole cycle that will basically continue to enrich our data and basically still do a lot of outbound, while allowing us to basically continue to go inbound with a lot of other individuals based off of the content.
So
Yeah.
you guys are running outbound. It sounds like cold email and a significant stack too with clay and then enriching data, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And do you know specific metrics in terms of how many emails you guys are sending daily and things like that?
Yeah, so right now, we are both capping ourselves at 75 emails a day.
Okay.
just to protect ourselves because we still have a younger domain in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So we save the other 25 to really help with our warm up as well.
Nice. Okay. And do you guys like? Would you buy more email accounts and domains? Because it's kind of the strategy for outbound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so right now we've got 2 domains that we're running, and we've created 4 aliases on each domain.
Nice.
So we're getting a bunch of different options for us to be able to send from, because the aliases are actually helping us via instead of the domain as well. So
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a game in itself. I only ask about coding because I'm kind of a geek in that sense. Like this is all I do and we do with the infrastructure.
Love it.
So we partner with premium inboxes, instantly, people like that, and software companies like that. I know the founders or the higher ups, but we'd like hundreds of email accounts and domains, and they do get burned. But I think at any given time, I have 150 to 200 email accounts sending daily.
Wow.
So we send 1,000 to 3,000 new contacts a day, and it's a whole entire like robust operation, and it's pretty cool. So,
that's awesome. Yeah, no, it sounds like it.
yeah. Right now, in terms of the business, what's the most exciting thing that you wake up and you're like, okay, this is what I wanna, this is what I look at. I know like most software companies, especially SaaS, a lot of the founders tell me, dude, I wake up and I like to look at my MR dashboard.
Yeah, I don't honestly look at that. I probably look at that on a every other day basis. I'm probably a different founder than most, but I honestly go to our GitHub and see what the engineers were able to complete and see what tickets are actually there. So I nerd out on my mainly like what's going to be coming down the pipeline. So then that way,
too,
So then that way I could be very hyper focused on our go to market strategy with the product and how we're actually enhancing that. So I focus more on the product, and then my background's actually in sales enablement. And so I'm very much into the whole product lifecycle from, deployment all the way out to selling. So that's just been my nature, and that's exactly where I live every single day to help build out product marketing and anything else that's needed for our teams to go to market.
I like it. That's super cool.
Yeah.
And what's the team size kind of like right now?
Yes, currently right now we're a mighty team of 6. So we've got a couple engineers on the team, an operations / recruiter. We've got an intern, and then my head of revenue as well as myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
We just have a head of acquisition, head of fulfillment, appointment setter that manages the campaigns, and then AI.
That's AI. AI has been amazing to be able to help when it's needed. I think it's great until the personal touch is needed. I think it's an amazing tool to continue to have it all running in the background.
Absolutely. And what financial solution do you guys use for a payment processor?
So currently right now, we're actually just doing ACH via Brex. So we're not actually even utilizing Stripe or any of those others right now. So
I have never heard of that. That is very interesting. I always heard of ACH or like wire transfer being like for predominant high ticket deals.
So yeah, actually our customers that have sent over ACH, like they get it, we're new and we're fresh and we don't want to pay all of the additional fees that come with Stripe.
Yeah.
So they're totally game with doing ACH and really just, it's at a convenience. We've got a net 15 on every single deal, and it just makes it easy and seamless for them as well too in their payment systems.
Right. That makes sense. And it's you don't deal with any fees or anything being held up in a sort of system or anything like that.
The other thing that I would even say is like from an ACH perspective, right? If you're doing annual recurring, most of the time on Stripes you're having to use a credit card. Well, what happens within a credit card in a couple of years? It expires, numbers change. It gives a better chance for churn. So if you're doing ACH and setting it up that way, bank accounts usually never change.
You're right. And that's an angle most founders and CEOs don't think of in terms of longevity.
Exactly.
Especially from that angle too, because I never thought of that as well.
Yeah.
That is smart, because you're right, yeah. And especially if you want to retain customers for a longer period of time, you have to be thinking about those things.
Exactly, yeah. It's
reducing debit card, right?
Yeah, I mean, even a debit card, right?
Yeah,
Like
debit
you
cards.
can, debit card, you can debit cards are worse because they're usually set with a daily limit. And so if you usually pay for all your tech stack in one day, which one of the companies I was at, they did, and it basically burned our card for 3 days. So we weren't able to use anything while we were, out in the field or anything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's super frustrating. Sounds like that's something that like maybe you had to learn. I don't know.
It was a different way to process things. That's for sure.
Yeah. Right now, building the business, what's kind of been the most frustrating, difficult thing so far?
Yeah, I think every startup has its pains. I always say we're in the startup trifecta right now, where we need funding to build our products, and we need, you know, we need a product to be able to sell, and we need to be able to sell in order to get funding. So we're in this trifecta that's getting in there, and I think that's honestly what wears me down probably the most is we're constantly playing this chicken or egg situation pretty much
I
beforehand.
see.
So yeah, I think
You want to show, I don't know, investors or VCs that you obviously have the ability to sell, but then at the same
right.
time, you want to be able to pump it up with yeah, money.
Yeah. So, it's the classic term doing more with less. I would say we're a very big scrappy organization, so we do make it all work, but it comes with its challenges, that's for sure.
Right. And what do you mean, like, what do you mean by that specifically?
Yeah, I mean, like reduction of head count, right? Like I can't pay a ton of engineers to come in through this as well too. We've got some employees that have worked pro bono up until this point, myself included. And so, while I'm not even collecting a paycheck, right? Like how do we drive success forward within the company? So, it's frustrating. It's hard. It's on top of that, right? Like I do a bunch of contract work on the side just to continue to
Nice.
support my family. But
Right.
a 40-hour contract job as well as doing a startup and sales calls, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication and grind.
Pretty tough, absolutely. And right now, you guys are, I guess there's some series of funding you guys have already gone through, or a little bit, or talk to me
Yeah.
about
So we do have a little bit. We raised 375 through RK Mellon, which was awesome. And now we're going up for our seed round as well too. Now that our product is complete, we've got some good traction. So we're going up for a $3.5 million raise.
that. Sweet.
Yeah.
And what was the process like getting in front of the 375? What were some actions that you took, and what were some sort of like, how'd you go about doing that?
Yeah, so I can't truly speak to that. We actually did a unique way that's probably not very heard of. We actually merged with another company that actually did that raise to support what they're doing as well too, and
Right.
we're in a signed agreement for a merger to basically merge our two companies together. Once the acquisition's actually 100% complete.
So
But
it's like strategic alliance, basically.
yeah, it's a strategic alliance that we've built out between the two of us, and we're gonna drive it all together as soon as we close the round.
Sweet. Then you said at the very end when you sell it, you guys are both take. I guess I don't know. There's some
Yeah.
equity deal. Okay, nice.
Yep.
That's cool. That's a very smart way. It's like you're building up. It's like two jetpacks versus one. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
I know you mentioned obviously retaining customers and getting more customers. What do you feel is the most important part of the customer life cycle, from signing them to fulfilling for them to maybe they leave? What do you feel is the most important part, and how do you focus that, especially as a SaaS when churn is the biggest stop sign ahead of us?
Yeah, I mean, discovery, right? It's always the go-to. It's always the most important in the entire sales cycle. But the problem that I see with a lot of people is they are stopping what their discovery actually looks like with that customer. So discovery doesn't stop the minute that they sign the contract. Discovery is continuously happening and evolving. I tell my team, like, listen, we are not here to be vendors for anybody. And the minute that we become a vendor, we've lost that customer. We are here to be strategic partners to be able to help them in their issues in hiring and recruiting. And so we do have the partner over vendor mentality. And I think that's been like the biggest and most important, that people do believe that we are here for them genuinely and not here just to collect their money.
Right, absolutely. And that's like relationship as well, because they want to get under the right impression that you're not just kind of like there and all transactional.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of people like definitely strive for, especially SaaS. One thing I heard too on a previous call as well is having monthly. It was a monthly deliverability report for a software company that was actually providing email infrastructure. And they said we have a monthly deliverability report in a meeting with them that we have. It's 15 minutes. And that serves as a retention vehicle to keep the customer longer. So it's almost like, of course, they're super incentivized to show up to that
Right.
call to make sure that everything's flowing smooth. and then as well they use it to build more rapport, more relationship, things like that. I thought that was, I think if every single business can figure out a unique way and sort of a mechanism to like apply that into their own business, that would make things a lot easier for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, for now, right? Like we are small and mighty, but with our smaller customer base right now, I do offer my calendar link out to existing customers of their heads of TA, so that way they could jump on and they can book a 15-minute session with the CEO of the company to be able to say, hey, this is something that we want, or we don't like this, in order for them to have that open source of communication. They also have that with my head of product as well too.
Nice, I like that. And I know you mentioned obviously 2023 was kind of when things were kind of starting up and you're doing some contract work on the side too. Were you always an entrepreneur founder? When did you kind of start that journey? What were you doing before? How did that kind of all come into play?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial mindset. I've always wanted to start my own business. I started probably my first business and about 6 years ago. We started an online community for enablement professionals, and I grew that to about 5,500 people globally, completely organically as well too. So the community is still thriving and in Slack. I signed away that back in 24, and I'm now the minority owner of it still. But I think this venture, right, started in 2023, but up until then, right, it's always been in the sales and the go-to-market launch, category as well too. Nice. So my whole mindset of the entrepreneurial to get stuff to go to market from a product as well as a sales perspective has kind of always been there.
I see. And who do you watch on the internet or maybe previous mentors that you really take advice from on a weekly or monthly basis that you always keep up with?
That's honestly really tough, because there are some people that I look at their different traits and qualities, right? So like Corporate Bro, for example, he doesn't give me much good selling tips, right? But he gives me almost that confidence boost of don't give a fuck and just keep grinding. Like that's kind of the mentality that he has. And then I look at a lot of my other peers that are in the entrepreneurial space, right? What are they going through? What are they actually feeling and emotional? But there's a ton of people that are out there that, the classics, Zig Ziglar, Warren Buffett, Gary Vee, right? Like we've all seen them. They've all been around. I don't like to pinpoint one person, because just like mentors, right? You can outgrow your mentor. You can outgrow your motivation at the same time. So I like to keep it fresh. I don't like to usually pinpoint one person that's like you. I want to aspire to be you.
Right, absolutely. Taking different traits from people and not just one specific person. Is there a specific book, though, that has been super meaningful to you that you maybe read a couple of times, maybe a couple of every other year, things like that?
I do read Unfuck Yourself a lot.
Okay, yeah, I've read that one. That one's good.
It's definitely very good. I think it's a good reminder to not let yourself get stuck. I also pull, not a plug, but I pull my own book down that I wrote that goes around and basically is how do you manage with all of the different things that you've got going on, especially as a founder, right? You're juggling multiple plates,
right?
And how do you manage your day-to-day that way as well?
Nice. And what's the book called again, and where can we find it? Just go ahead and plug it.
Yeah, so my book is Just Another Plate, or Just Add Another Plate, sorry. You can find it anywhere on Amazon and Kindle as well too. So super fun, easy, light read. Tells you basically how to manage all of the different things in your life, from family to work to side hustles to sports to whatever else you got going on, and how do you manage that? How do you separate the anxiety and not pile on the stress from one task to another?
That's huge, especially stress and everything, and how to manage stuff. With that being mentioned, obviously during COVID, we saw a bunch of things change online to more remote. What have you seen in the digital marketing space, obviously being in or digital space before COVID and after COVID? What have you seen has kind of been the biggest switch, other than just AI engines and things like that, that has really either motivated you or just kind of had to take a step back to where I need to look at this more as a founder?
Yeah, so a lot of my focus from marketing, right, is not going to probably be on the digital side or ads, to be honest with you. COVID was a very detrimental year, especially in marketing and sales, just all around the world, for everything. But marketing specifically, it changed the way people buy, which changed the way that we need to basically engage with our customers. So one of the things that I've noticed post-COVID, right, not during, is everybody was cooped up for so long, so much stuff was canceled out. It's more of experiential marketing. How do we get somebody out of the house to be able to go do things? How do trade shows affect the outcome of what you're able to draw in there? And how are you, you can't just put up a booth somewhere and say it's good. No. Like Nashville last year, I talked about that just briefly. Like we rented out an entire bar on Broadway and brought a band in, and we had one of the biggest lit parties I've ever been to, and it was awesome because we literally gave people an experience that they're not going to forget. In fact, people are already asking us if we're already registered for next year for it.
That's huge. And this is Nashville, Tennessee, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. Been there a couple times, only a handful. And you said Broadway Street, right?
Yeah. So we were on the main strip.
I was there. Yeah, I was there a couple years ago.
So
that place is hopping. A lot of traffic, a lot of people, and I'm sure during that time it was pretty
it was a good party. I mean, we had about 200 people RSVP to it, which was amazing for us, especially for us just coming out of the gates being brand new.
Nice. Super cool. Super cool. That kind of wraps up some of my initial questions, things like that. Do you have anything else you'd like to add on? Any additional comments, concerns, things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's out there is looking for hiring software that's going to optimize their workflows, check us out, PerfectHire or getperfecthire.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn, Matt Schalsey.
All right, appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick.